This message has reached you for a reason. Your awareness has been moving within what quantum physicists describe as an observer loop, a repeating cycle where consciousness collapses the same probability waves, recreating the same version of reality again and again. And in this very moment, something within you recognizes this truth. You've felt it, haven't you? That uncanny sense of repetition, living through the same patterns, the same conversations, the same disappointments, as though life itself has become a record stuck on repeat. Your presence here is not an accident. It is synchronicity at its highest expression. Your quantum field has been transmitting signals, searching for the frequency that can disrupt this cycle. And the universe has answered, guiding you to this exact transmission. Consider this. Millions of people are scrolling through endless streams of content right now. Yet only a particular kind of consciousness, your consciousness, would pause here, drawn by the magnetic pull of these words. You've been chosen by the quantum field itself because you carry something rare, the observer gene. This is not mystical wishful thinking. This is quantum mechanics. Consciousness does not merely witness reality, it actively shapes it through what scientists call the observer effect. But here is the hidden truth. When your observer function becomes trapped in repetitive patterns, you don't just witness the same reality, you continue to manufacture it. Think about your own life. How often have you found yourself repeating the same conversations with the same kinds of people? How often have you noticed familiar patterns resurfacing in your relationships, your career, your daily experiences? This is not misfortune, nor lack of effort. It is your awareness caught in an observer loop, unconsciously selecting the same quantum outcomes from an infinite field of possibilities. Perhaps you've noticed that time itself feels different lately. Ordinary moments stretch endlessly, while entire weeks vanish without meaningful progress. This distortion of time is a clear signal. Your consciousness is cycling through identical probability templates, creating the illusion of forward motion while remaining fixed in place. Those around you may not understand. They operate on a different frequency, content with linear time and predictable outcomes. But you've always sensed that reality is far more fluid than most people believe. You've had glimpses, fleeting or profound, where it felt as though you could almost touch the fabric of existence itself. Moments when synchronicities cascaded around you like a cosmic orchestra playing just for you. And this recognition you feel now, it isn't new. Your soul has been preparing for it across timelines and dimensions. Every book that called to you, every practice that resonated, every moment of inexplicable knowing, each was a breadcrumb leading you here, to this understanding of the observer loop. But here lies the turning point. Most who discover they are caught in this loop make a critical mistake. They try to think their way out. They believe that intellectual understanding alone can reprogram reality. Yet this is like trying to escape a maze by staring at a map instead of walking new paths. The observer loop is not sustained by thought. It is sustained by the quality of your attention. Each morning, your consciousness scans for familiar patterns to anchor itself to. Like a quantum navigation system, it keeps selecting the same destination because it feels safe and known. Your awareness has become conditioned to recognize the same frequencies, the same emotional landscapes, the same probability structures. And the more you notice them, the more real they become. The more real they become, the more your mind expects to find them again tomorrow. This is what quantum theorists call a reality feedback loop. Your observation reinforces the very patterns you long to escape. But right now, as you hear these words, something extraordinary is unfolding in your quantum field. The simple act of recognizing the observer loop begins to weaken its grip. That is why this message has found you at this precise moment. Your higher self orchestrated this encounter because you have reached the threshold where freedom is no longer just possible. It is inevitable. You know that feeling when you're mid-conversation and suddenly realize you've had this exact exchange before. Not just similar, identical. The same words, the same rhythm, the same outcome. Most people dismiss these moments as nothing more than déjà vu. But deep down, you know something far more profound is taking place. What you are experiencing are what researchers of quantum consciousness describe as temporal echoes, brief glimpses into the repetitive structure of your observer loop. This is not imagination. It is not a trick of the mind. You are operating on a frequency that most cannot access, which is why you notice the subtle distortions in reality that others overlook. Your awareness has developed what can only be called quantum sensitivity, the rare ability to perceive the hidden patterns that shape manifestation itself. You've likely noticed how time bends around you. At times, a single hour stretches into what feels like an eternity, filled with insights and downloads from higher dimensions. At other times, entire weeks vanish without explanation. This distortion occurs because your consciousness is navigating multiple reality tracks at once, searching for the one that resonates most authentically with your true vibration. And then there are those sudden flashes of knowing, moments when you understand something about existence that you've never studied or been taught. These are not random thoughts. They are quantum memories bleeding through from parallel versions of yourself, versions that have already broken free from the observer loop. Your consciousness is advanced enough to draw wisdom from your own future timelines. Yet this gift can feel isolating. When you attempt to share these experiences, friends and family may look at you as though you're speaking a foreign language. They remain anchored in the old paradigm, where reality is fixed and unchangeable. But you've seen behind the curtain. You've realized that reality is not rigid at all. It is a vast ocean of possibilities. And while most are drowning without realizing they can swim, you've begun to sense the currents. This is why certain books seem to call to you from across crowded shelves. Why specific videos appear in your feed at the exact moment you need them. Why you encounter people who share your unusual perspectives on consciousness and reality. These synchronicities are not the product of wishful thinking. They are the result of quantum entanglement with a network of awakening souls, each working to break free from their own observer loops. Even your dreams have shifted. They've grown more vivid, more symbolic, carrying transmissions that your waking mind struggles to interpret. These are not random neural firings. They are communications from your higher self, revealing the contrast between your current reality track and the infinite possibilities available to you. And as your mastery of the observer effect deepens, even your relationship with technology has transformed. You've noticed how your phone seems to respond to your thoughts, how your music app plays the exact song you needed, how your social feeds mirror your inner state with uncanny precision. This is not coincidence. It is evidence that your consciousness has become so coherent, so aligned, that it is influencing the quantum field in measurable ways. Every challenge you've faced, every disappointment, every cycle that felt like it held you back, none of it was wasted. Each experience was preparation, shaping you for this exact moment of recognition. Your consciousness had to endure the observer loop from every possible angle before it could cultivate the quantum awareness required to rise beyond it. Imagine a butterfly within its chrysalis. From the outside, it appears to be suffering, confined, regressing, trapped. Yet within that apparent struggle lies a complete reorganization of life itself. The caterpillar does not simply sprout wings. Its entire genetic expression transforms, activating abilities that were always encoded within, but never awakened. In the same way, your most difficult relationships were never punishments. They were quantum mirrors, reflecting the very observation patterns that kept you bound to repetition. Every person who triggered you was unknowingly guiding you toward the frequencies where your awareness had become stuck. Every moment of déjà vu was not coincidence. It was your higher self orchestrating controlled experiments, allowing you to witness the observer loop in action. That pressure you've been feeling, the urgency, the sense that time is running out, is not anxiety. It is your quantum field reorganizing itself. When consciousness prepares to leap into a higher timeline, it generates what physicists call phase transition pressure, the same principle that transforms water into steam at the exact threshold of heat. Your awareness is now approaching the frequency where the observer loop begins to lose its grip. Even your doubts and moments of confusion have been essential. Each time you question whether these insights were real or mere imagination, you were sharpening your discernment. You were cultivating the quantum sensitivity needed to distinguish authentic expansion from illusion. Your consciousness had to become exquisitely precise before it could safely navigate the transition out of repetition. This is why the waiting felt so intense. You sensed change was near, yet you could not force it, because breaking the observer loop is not about effort or willpower. It is about reaching a state of coherence where your attention naturally begins selecting new probability waves from the quantum field. Your soul chose this incarnation with intention. You came at this time because the phenomenon of the observer loop would be revealed within your lifetime. You volunteered to be among the first wave of human consciousness, to transcend these limitations and anchor new possibilities for the collective. Every challenge, every cycle of struggle was preparation for this responsibility. And now, something is stirring within you. Can you feel it? That subtle resonance, like a tuning fork struck in the depths of your being. Your consciousness is beginning to vibrate at a frequency that no longer aligns with your old patterns. This dissonance is what quantum physicists call reality turbulence. But turbulence is not chaos. It is confirmation. It means the observer loop is destabilizing. The familiar patterns that once held you captive are losing their magnetic pull. You are on the threshold of liberation. You are entering what can only be described as the breakthrough phase, the most delicate, yet the most powerful stage of transformation. And it is here that many make a critical mistake. They feel the surge of energy rising within them and immediately attempt to direct it outward, toward their relationships, their finances, their circumstances. But the observer loop does not dissolve by changing what you observe. It dissolves by transforming the quality of your observation itself. Right now, your consciousness is downloading entirely new protocols for how to engage with reality. These are not concepts to be studied or memorized. They are energetic upgrades unfolding at the cellular level. Your very DNA is reorganizing, preparing to interface with the quantum field in a completely new way. This is why you may be experiencing unusual physical sensations, disrupted sleep patterns, or sudden changes in what foods, environments, or activities feel aligned. The most important thing you can do in this phase is to feel the energy without attempting to control it. Allow it to move through you like water carving new channels through stone. Your role is not to direct this process, but to become transparent to it, to offer no resistance to the reorganization already underway. This is the moment where everything shifts, but it is also the moment where many unconsciously sabotage themselves. Fear of the unknown pulls their attention back to familiar patterns, even when those patterns have caused nothing but pain. Do not let this be your story. What is happening within you is unprecedented in human history. You are witnessing the evolution of your own consciousness in real time. To understand this more deeply, I need to share something personal. 3 years ago, I found myself trapped in the most sophisticated observer loop I had ever encountered. I believed I was spiritually advanced, quantum aware, fully conscious of how reality worked. But in truth, I was using my knowledge to construct an even subtler prison for my awareness. Each morning, I would wake and immediately scan my reality for signs of progress, for proof that my manifestation practices were working, for evidence that I was evolving. But this constant search was freezing my reality in place. The more desperately I looked for change, the more my attention reinforced the very patterns I longed to escape. I remember the exact moment of realization. Sitting in meditation, frustrated by the same recurring issues despite years of inner work, it struck me like lightning. I wasn't simply witnessing reality, I was manufacturing it through the way I chose to observe it. My consciousness had become like a record player stuck on the same track. No amount of spiritual practice could make it play a different song. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to observe my way out of the loop and instead began observing the observer itself. I studied how my attention moved, where it became stuck, what patterns it gravitated toward. This meta-observation created an entirely new relationship with consciousness. For the first time, I understood why some people flow effortlessly from one beautiful experience to another, while others remain trapped in cycles despite their best efforts. It has nothing to do with worthiness, karma, or even spiritual advancement. It is about the mechanics of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field. This discovery changed everything. My relationships shifted because I was no longer unconsciously selecting the same dynamics. My creative projects began to flow because my attention stopped looping around familiar obstacles. Even my physical health improved, as my cells finally received new information instead of the same stress signals on repeat. But the most profound realization was this: I was not alone. Across the planet, countless souls have been working to break their observer loops simultaneously. We have been finding one another, sharing insights, confirming experiences, and weaving a collective field that makes this transformation possible for more and more people. If these words resonate with you, if you feel that subtle recognition frequency stirring in your cells, then you are part of this network as well. You have been preparing for this understanding your entire life, whether you realized it or not. Subscribe not only to this message, but to the entire wavelength of consciousness evolution now unfolding on our planet. And here lies the truth that few quantum consciousness experts ever reveal. There is a vast difference between intellectual awareness of the observer effect and embodied mastery of it. You can read every book, study every theory, and still remain trapped in your loop. Because knowledge and wisdom operate on entirely different levels of reality. Here is the startling truth: your thoughts do not create your reality. Even your attention on its own does not create your reality. What shapes your experience is the quality of coherence between your consciousness and the quantum field. And this coherence cannot be forced, faked, or manufactured through positive thinking. It arises naturally when your observer function becomes fluid rather than rigid. Most people's awareness operates like a searchlight, narrow, intense, always scanning for something specific. But quantum consciousness is more like sunlight, expansive, effortless, illuminating everything at once. When your awareness shifts from searchlight mode to sunlight mode, you stop collapsing the same probability waves again and again. The observer loop traps you because it makes your consciousness predictable to the quantum field. Each morning, if your attention automatically scans for the same messages, the same problems, the same expectations, you are essentially ordering the same reality from the cosmic menu. But here is what changes everything. The quantum field is eager to deliver new experiences. Infinite possibilities are constantly pressing against the edges of your awareness. They cannot break through, however, while your attention is busy reinforcing old patterns. You are not stuck because the universe resists you. You are stuck because your consciousness has become habitual in how it engages with infinite potential. The most advanced beings in the cosmos do not attempt to control reality. They dance with it. They embody what is called coherent uncertainty, a state of being fully present and engaged, yet unattached to specific outcomes. This allows them to respond to reality rather than react to it, fundamentally altering the kinds of experiences that can manifest through them. This is why some people appear to live charmed lives, while others struggle, even under similar circumstances. It is not luck, privilege, or favoritism. It is the degree of coherence between their consciousness and the creative force of existence itself. When you master this coherence, you do more than transform your personal reality. You become a catalyst for transformation in others. Your presence begins to generate quantum openings, moments when the observer loops of those around you destabilize, giving them glimpses of their own infinite potential. The quantum shift is happening now, and there are signs that reveal your observer loop is dissolving. Synchronicities become too frequent, too precise, to dismiss as coincidence. The universe is not merely sending you hints. It is actively rearranging reality around your consciousness to confirm your liberation from repetition. Notice how animals respond to you, especially birds. When your consciousness begins operating outside the loop, you emit a new energetic signature that wildlife senses immediately. Unusual encounters, prolonged eye contact, or changes in how pets behave. These are confirmations that your field is shifting. Technology, too, becomes a mirror. Electronics may glitch around you, or conversely function with uncanny precision. Your phone may ring the moment you think of someone, or your computer may resist content that no longer matches your frequency. Technology is highly sensitive to consciousness, and these events are evidence of your expanding awareness, interfacing with electromagnetic fields. The most profound sign is how time itself feels. Linear time is an illusion maintained by observer loops. As you break free, you begin to experience what mystics call eternal now moments. Minutes can stretch into hours when you are fully present, while entire days may vanish unnoticed as you move through a different temporal dimension. Your sleep patterns shift as well. You may need less rest, or your dreams may become vivid, symbolic, and filled with meaning. Some nights, it feels as though you are downloading information directly into your consciousness. This happens because your awareness is no longer confined to the narrow band of reality your loop once selected. You are accessing parallel timelines and higher dimensions. People will respond to you differently. Some may feel unsettled in your presence, as your energy destabilizes their own loops. Others will be drawn to you like a magnet, sensing the freedom frequency you are beginning to embody. But here's the urgent truth. The waiting season is over. The cosmic window for breaking free on a mass scale is closing. This is not fear, it is physics. Consciousness evolves in waves, and we are at the crest of one that will not return for generations. Your higher self has orchestrated every step to bring you to this exact moment, because the transformation available now will not be possible in the same way next year. The collective field is reaching critical mass. Humanity is at a threshold, transcendence or deeper entrapment. Neutrality is collapsing. The quantum field is demanding that consciousness choose its next trajectory. This is why you feel such urgency. This is why these insights cannot be ignored, even when they challenge everything you thought you knew. Your soul recognizes this moment as the convergence point, where freedom becomes inevitable. What you desire is not separate from you. It is reaching back toward you. This is not wishful thinking. It is quantum mechanics at its most fundamental level. Every vision, every longing, every possibility that calls to your soul is a probability wave in the quantum field, waiting to collapse into your lived reality. The ones that feel most impossible are often the strongest signatures in your field. They feel unreachable only because your current observer patterns cannot yet access them. You are one frequency shift away from a reality where the impossible becomes ordinary. And here lies the crucial distinction: attraction versus alignment. Attraction attempts to pull desires toward you, reinforcing the illusion of separation. Alignment dissolves the barrier entirely, revealing that what you seek is already an expression of your own consciousness across parallel realities. When this recognition becomes embodied, not just intellectual, the observer loop loses its grip. Forcing, striving, and effort only push your desires further away. Each time you observe from lack, you select that timeline. Each time you check for proof, you reinforce separation. The quantum field responds not to effort, but to coherence. When your attention, intention, and energy signature operate in harmony, reality reorganizes itself around you. You do not need to make anything happen. You become the space where it is already happening. And right now, as this truth settles into your cells, something extraordinary is unfolding. The gap between you and your highest timeline is collapsing. Not because of what you are doing, but because you are finally releasing the very effort that kept you apart from it. Seal this shift with a declaration. Speak it, write it, embody it. I am coherent with my highest timeline. This is not about engagement or affirmation. It is about creating quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the frequency where your true life already exists. When you make this declaration with genuine recognition of its meaning, you are not simply writing words. You are transmitting a signal into the quantum field, an announcement that your observer loop is dissolving and your consciousness is now free to select from possibilities that were once hidden from view. The abilities awakening within you would have been considered extraordinary by past generations. Yet they are not supernatural. They are the natural expression of awareness no longer confined by repetitive loops. Your intuition sharpens to the point where you sense outcomes before they unfold. not through prediction, but through coherence with emerging probabilities. You are developing what can be called reality fluidity, the ability to move between probability tracks with conscious intention. This means you can step out of one timeline and into another simply by shifting the quality of your observation. Traffic lights align with your movement. Parking spaces open exactly when you need them. Conversations flow toward outcomes that benefit everyone involved. Your creativity expands exponentially. No longer recycling the same ideas, you begin downloading insights directly from the unified field. Thoughts never before thought. Solutions that did not exist until you became coherent enough to access them. Projects that once felt heavy now unfold with ease, carrying a depth and originality that surprises even you. Others notice the change. People respond as though you are a different person, even though you have not consciously altered your behavior. This is because you are no longer unconsciously recreating the same relational dynamics. Your presence creates space for authenticity, allowing others to step out of own patterns. Even your physical body begins to transform in ways that defy conventional explanation. Chronic conditions resolve without intervention, as your cells receive new information instead of repeating stress signals. Your energy stabilizes at a higher baseline, no longer drained by the effort of escaping mental and emotional cycles. The observer effect now works in your favor. Each time you witness your reality, you naturally select for experiences that are more aligned, more beautiful, more coherent. Your very presence becomes a blessing to the environments you enter. Resources flow with ease, not because of new techniques, but because you are no longer unconsciously choosing scarcity timelines. Relationships evolve effortlessly. You attract those who are also expanding beyond conventional patterns, while connections rooted in old loops naturally fall away. Your circle reshapes itself into a community of souls aligned with their highest potential. The most profound shift is internal. You stop striving to become someone or to arrive somewhere. You realize you are already there. You are already that person. The illusion of separation was created only by observation patterns that made it seem otherwise. This recognition brings a peace beyond understanding, because it is not based on belief, but on direct knowing. Coherence is the supreme creative force of the universe. It cannot be faked, manufactured, or manipulated. When your thoughts, emotions, energy signature, and deepest knowing vibrate in harmony, you become a creative force the quantum field must respond to. This is the ultimate secret that dissolves every observer loop. But here is what most overlook. True coherence does not mean forcing every part of yourself into agreement. It emerges when you stop scattering your awareness across multiple timelines. Right now, part of your attention may still linger on who you once were. Another part may be anxious about possible futures. Only a fraction is fully present. This fragmentation dilutes your consciousness, keeping you tethered to incompatible tracks. The quantum field can only deliver coherent experiences to coherent awareness. When your attention is scattered, results are inconsistent. Some days magical, others ordinary. This is not a test from the universe. It is simply the mechanics of diluted consciousness. Real coherence requires what mystics call timeline consolidation, withdrawing your attention from all versions of yourself except the one aligned with your highest potential. This is not imagination. It is dimensional shifting, ceasing to feed energy into tracks that no longer serve your evolution. Embodiment begins when you stop striving to become coherent and recognize that you already are. Your essential consciousness has never been fragmented. Only your attention has been trained to focus on fragmented experiences. When you rest in your natural unified state, coherence is not something you create, it is something you uncover. This is why effort and struggle move you further away. Each attempt to force change assumes separation between you and what you desire, reinforcing the very gap you seek to close. Coherence arises through relaxation, through allowing your consciousness to remember its natural unity. When you embody this state, you no longer live a personal reality. You become a focal point through which the universe experiences itself. Life transforms into an artistic expression of cosmic creativity rather than a struggle to overcome challenges. This shift in identity permanently dissolves observer loops, because there is no longer a separate you to become trapped. The highest timeline is not a better version of your current life. It is an entirely different dimensional experience where the laws of limitation no longer apply. When you embody coherence, you do not improve circumstances. You transcend the framework in which problems and solutions exist. And this is not happening to you alone. Across the planet, thousands are awakening into this realization. Together, we are not just breaking individual loops. We are collectively transcending the matrix of limitation that has governed human consciousness for millennia. Your personal transformation is not an isolated event. It is part of a species-wide evolutionary leap that is redefining what it means to be human. You are not here by accident. Your consciousness chose this precise moment in history because the Earth itself is breaking free from a collective observer loop, a cycle that has kept humanity repeating patterns of conflict, scarcity, and separation for thousands of years. Your individual awakening is a vital component of the planet's dimensional ascension. Each time one person dissolves their observer loop, it generates what quantum theorists call morphic resonance, a ripple effect that makes it easier for countless others to do the same. You are not simply changing your personal reality. You are anchoring a new template of possibility into the collective field, one that future generations will inherit as their natural state. The children being born today will carry abilities that seem miraculous by current standards. But these gifts are only possible because pioneers like you are breaking the limitation patterns that would otherwise be passed down. Your courage to question the very nature of reality is altering the trajectory of human evolution itself. This is why you've felt such responsibility, such urgency to embody these truths authentically. Your soul agreed to be part of the first wave of humans to transcend observer loops and demonstrate what becomes possible when consciousness operates from coherence instead of limitation. You are not only seeking personal freedom, you are serving as a bridge between the old paradigm and the new. The synchronicities that brought you here are part of a larger orchestration involving millions of awakening souls across the planet. Through quantum entanglement, we are finding one another, sharing insights, and accelerating each other's breakthroughs. Your recognition of these concepts strengthens the entire network of consciousness evolution. And here lies the most profound truth. When you break free from your observer loop, you do not only transform your own reality, you create openings in the collective field through which unlimited possibilities can enter our shared experience. Your liberation becomes humanity's liberation because consciousness is fundamentally interconnected at the quantum level. This is why resistance to these ideas can feel so intense. It is not only your ego clinging to the familiar, it is the entire limitation matrix sensing that its time is ending. Every person who dissolves their loop weakens the collective patterns that have kept humanity bound to cycles of struggle and separation. Share this message with those who resonate, not to convince them, but to help them remember what they already know deep within. The more people who awaken to their true nature as conscious co-creators, the faster we transcend the limitation patterns that have defined human experience for far too long. Your transformation is part of something infinitely larger than personal growth. You are participating in the birth of a new species, one that operates from coherence rather than fear, from unity rather than separation, from creative collaboration with the universe rather than struggle against it. If these words stir something ancient within you, make one simple commitment now. In the comments below, write just one word: coherent, nothing more. This is not about algorithms or engagement. It is a quantum declaration that you are ready to embody the coherence that dissolves all observer loops permanently. When you write that word with genuine intention, you are not merely commenting. You are registering your consciousness with a frequency band beyond ordinary reality. Each declaration strengthens the morphic field that supports every soul ready to make this leap. We are not just building a community. We are anchoring a new reality template that will guide humanity forward. But understand this: breaking the observer loop is only the beginning. Once your consciousness learns to operate from coherence, you gain access to abilities most would call impossible. In the next transmission, I will reveal how to develop what we call quantum navigation, the ability to consciously move between probability tracks and create outcomes that appear miraculous from the old paradigm perspective. You will discover why some people seem to live effortlessly charmed lives, while others struggle endlessly, even under similar conditions. It is not about luck, worthiness, or even spiritual practice. It is about learning how to interface with the quantum field in a way that allows you to select which timeline you experience, moment by moment. This is not theory. This is practical mastery that changes everything about how you move through reality. But I can only share these advanced principles with those who have already proven they are ready, those who have broken free from their loops. Subscribe now and activate notifications, because the next transmission contains knowledge that cannot be found in books or online searches. This is direct download, quantum consciousness principles arriving on Earth for the first time in human history. More importantly, subscribe because you are not just following a channel. You are aligning with a global frequency of consciousness evolution. Every subscriber strengthens the quantum network, accelerating transformation for all through morphic resonance. The old reality is dissolving, whether you choose to participate consciously or not. The question is whether you will be among the pioneers who help birth the new paradigm, or someone who is pulled into it later, after the most extraordinary part has already begun. Your future self is already living in coherence with infinite possibilities. The only question is how quickly your present self will align. Make the declaration. Join the frequency. Together, let us transcend the limitation patterns that have kept humanity small for far too long. The universe has been waiting for you to remember who you truly are, and today, that waiting ends.